What's up, y'all? It's Jam and Sam, and today we're going to analyze some of the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. Someone requested we come back to this, and someone requested specifically the jingles of all things. And this is I'm actually glad we're going through the jingles because there's one jingle here that has a particular pop music inspiration that's like one of my favorite little tidbits in the whole series. So I'm excited to get to that. But this first one is not it. This is the welcome Gamer XT. Welcome Aaron. Welcome everyone. Sam, do you think maybe you could go over the different sound effects too and talk about their instrumentation and how they were made if reused elsewhere, etc.? Yeah, we can do that. That's a good idea. And this guy and Dave did Dave did all the sound effects, I think, and he did some really cool stuff with the sound effects that I would like to talk about. So I think that's a really good idea. We can do that after the jingles. That would be great. So we'll have that on the online. So for this jingle, this is the this is the bonus win jingle, so or slash boss win jingle. So let's go through this one. I want to do the bass first. The bass is pretty much the foundation of the song. Dun 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 dun. So this is pretty much, we have what's called a walking bass line, walking bass lines, and this should be like a downbeat, right? Because you have the downbeat here. Actually, yeah, should be downbeat here. There's a little bit of space here because there's just like one trumpet note between here and a snare. So this is a walking bass line, meaning that it just walks down. So we just have a walk down the scale of F. This is an F, so we have a walk down to F, F, E, E, D, D, C, C, A, B flat, C, C, and then we do a major chord arpeggio on the one chord, which is F major. Dun, da, da, F, C, A, F. So dum 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 dee 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 dum. And the fact that he's going down for pretty much the whole tune, but the fact that we start going up on A sharp is important because A sharp, C, F is 4, 5, 1. So because it's the 4, like if you start on the F major scale, like at 1 is F, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if you number it like that, B flat is 4, C is 5, and then 1. And 4, 5, 1 is the most satisfying resolution you can have. It's the foundation of all music. In the ancient times, the first kind of semblance of a chord progression they had was 4, 5, 1. That's what folk music is built upon. If you go into different cultures in the world, they always play like dun 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 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 1. So, and sometimes when you do like traditional jazz, you'll just see 5 and 1. Which is what Jungle Hijinks is based off of. So dun, 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 dun. That's the 5. That's a 5 and 1. So we have, and 5 and 1, since 5 and 1, like 4, 5, and 1 are all the major chords in the major scale. This ends up being a happy tune, so he chose to use 4, 5, 1 here because it's like a very satisfying resolution. It's very happy. So that's sort of the reason for that. And then in the beat we have a snare. This snare is pitched up a bit. It's a high pitched snare to sort of sound like like an orchestral snare, because orchestral snares have a very high pitch compared to most drum set snares, rock snares. So this is why this is a very high-pitched snare sample in general, but he's making it one note higher even. And so we have sort of a march with some rolls here. These rapid notes are rolls, because if you do in orchestral music, if you do like they'll use both, because the snare player, they have one player for the snare As opposed to in a like pop music, they have one person playing a whole drum set. But in orchestral music, you have one player playing the snare, so it's not hard for the person to use both sticks and just do a roll like that. So that's kind of what he's doing here. And he's kind of following the melody here, which is kind of what classical music here is doing here. Everything pretty much plays a melody, even the drums. So he's kind of establishing this as sort of a orchestral piece with this drum. So he's kind of playing the melody with that because it doesn't repeat at all. It's just a straight line. So he's kind of playing the melody there. Hi, what's up? Super duper monkey ball banana blast crazy roll. Welcome. Okay, so next up, if we're going from the ground up with the bass being the foundation and the snare being the backbone, then let's go with the harmony. So the strings are driving the harmony in this. And we have them doing arpeggios. These are the synth strings. So these are all arpeggios and they're establishing chords. And it's changing chords very quickly. Normally you only change chords like a quarter of this amount of time. But the fact that he's changing chords quickly, it serves to make this a very happy piece because lots of chords in succession, especially if they're major chords, which they are here, it tends to make the song feel very happy. Like if I do, it makes the song very ecstatic because you have because chords are emotion, right? And to change chords is to change emotion. So if you're changing emotion very happily, it makes it very excited. Very quickly, it makes it very excited. So what we have here is F, C, A, F, which is an F major chord. And then you go to G, C, G, E, C, G, which is C major over G. C major over G. G is the fifth in the scale. So it's the fifth chord in the scale. So we have, in terms of numbers, we have the first chord in the scale, F, in F major. 1, so that's the 1. And then we have the 5 chord, just C major, over G. And the reason he's doing it over G and not going all the way up here is because it makes for a good motion. So it's a lot less, it's a lot smaller of a motion to put it over G. And you see he's just moving up a little bit. So he's kind of making it smooth motion. And then he goes back up to F, but we have a different voicing here. Now we're doing it over A. So it's the same notes, except that we're starting on A and ending on A instead of starting on F and ending on F. So that's starting on F and ending on F. Now we're starting on A and ending on A. So he's kind of moving up. He's going da 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 da. No. And then he goes back down to C again, that same C chord. So we're kind of going up and down. We're going up, and then up again, and then down. And then he's doing this, then he does an F and a B flat major chord, the 5 chord, no, the 4 chord. So now he's like kind of he's kind of moving up, down, and then he's going down and doing the 4 5 1. So he's doing the resolution. 4 5. Okay, we need a downbeat here. So the downbeat starts here. So 4 5, and then he does this resolution where it's like 1, but he does A, F, A, C, F, making sure to finish on that 1, so he goes a little bit back and forth. A very nice finish. Hi, Hedora Max, welcome. Alright, so So we've established the chords here. We're moving around a lot, which makes us very excited. And so then we have this flute going on. It's a piccolo, so to speak. It's also a callback to Gangplank Galleon when you have that high penny whistle, that tin whistle. So it's sort of like Irish in the beginning. So we're doing kind of a under melody here, which makes this sort of a fugue, I guess. So we have... Whoops, we're up here. So what we're doing F, E, C. The E is the 7th in F major, so we're kind of outlining an F major 7 chord. And then we go up to C. If you remember in the strings, we changed to C major here, so that just makes sense. And so that's kind of outlining a C major chord. And then remember, in classical music, everything is a melody, so we're doing like 2 melodies at once. But this is the second melody. We'll get to the first melody soon. And then we're doing... This is outlining that 4 chord, right? The B flat major. And here he's doing... Right here he's doing a... He's doing what's called what do they call that? Flutter tongue in the woodwinds world. You can do like this, like what's called a flutter tongue articulation, where when you move your tongue up and down, it sort of, or as I understand it, it sort of makes this fluttering between 2 minor second notes. So that's kind of what he's emulating here. That's something flute players will do a lot. Hola desde Chile. Saludos. Saludos. Welcome. Ah, from Chile. Nice. Always get to see Chileans here. You've been seem to have quite a bit of fans in Chile. It's awesome. Okay. So that's pretty much what he's doing here, is like making a fugue melody. But here we have the main melody here with the trumpet. So here he's kind of outlining the F major chord, right? We have, and this is also kind of it's kind of a way to outline a major chord. It's also kind of a reference to When the Saints Go Marching In, right? Oh, when the saints, oh, when the saints, oh, when the saints go marching in. And just like that, he also does, so he establishes that F major chord, and then he outlines a C major chord, right? Because we're hitting that G and that C primarily. Here we're hitting the F and the C primarily. So we're kind of establishing that even though the strings are changing chords rapidly, in the melody we're kind of establishing a 4, like 1 and then 5. And then we go, so we're kind of, and then we kind of end our phrase on C for the most part up till now, but then we end it on G, which kind of makes it sound really different, right? If you notice that change. So we go from C to G to F, da, 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 da. And G is the top note of C, which is C major, which is the 5 chord. So we're kind of establishing that resolution in the melody with the top chord. Da, 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 da. Then we're going to we're resolving on F. Da, da. And then after that, the strings like do that climb up, which is really satisfying. So you have this one establishing the F, the resolution at first, and then you have the strings later on, strings and the bass both climbing down to F at the same time. So they're establishing their resolution later on, but it makes for a more final resolution if you have the melody do it first, and then the harmony instruments do it later, right? So you have So you have this one establishes it first, right? Da, 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 da. But then you have the harmony instruments do it later, meaning the flute, everything else. The flute, the strings, and the bass. So those all end on are all ending on F here, but they're waiting till later to do it. While the trumpet, the melody instrument, establishes it first. The harmony instruments do it after. I love soundtrack DKs too. Yes, I do too. Hi, you're from Chile too. Welcome. Look at all the Chileans here. Chile has nice weather. I've never been. Wow, I'll have to check that out. Love nice weather. Da-da-da. Okay, so that's the wind jingle. Now let's go to the next one, which is blues jingle. Okay, so now this is going from being really happy to being really sad. How? So how? First, we check out the bass. So look at the motion here. Whereas before we had very diatonic movement, we were staying in the scale. Now we're just going down chromatically. So we're kind of we're starting on G sharp. Dun, 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 dun. We're doing 2 notes for each, just as before, but now we're going down chromatically instead of sticking to a scale. And that's because minor second movements are very sad, especially if you're moving down. If you're moving up, it's a little more uplifting, but if you're moving down in minor seconds, that's a double whammy. If you're moving, see, the other one was happy because it was moving down diatonically, right? But this one's moving down chromatically, so that's going to make it very sad. And we hang out on this F sharp for a little bit to give it some variation, right? And on this F too. And then we do this big walk down in the bass. We're still doing a lot of minor seconds, and we're not sticking to any scale, which makes it kind of really drives it home. It's kind of a way to do a resolution. He's kind of finishing it off without it sounding like resolution, without it sounding satisfying. He's avoiding any chords. He's avoiding any kind of like happy resolution here. So he's doing a minor second from B flat to A. Da, 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 do. And then he's going down. Oh wait, he's going down a tritone here. Actually, down a tritone from A sharp. So he's kind of leading down a tritone, which is also very dissonant. Da, 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 da. So and then he's going from F sharp down a tritone. Now this is actually down a power chord. So it's not as sad. So and then he's da 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 da. And then ending on B, and then going up to A sharp. So there's no rhyme, there's almost no pattern here. It's really random and erratic. So that's kind of how he's creating that sad tone in the bass, like that failure tone, you know? Sort of makes you unsettled, makes you a little bit sad or angry. And then he finishes on that A sharp there. So what are we doing in the snare? What's the snare doing here? And this snare, just for good measure, this snare is actually even higher. So I think he does that to kind of make it, because there's a lot of like lower pitched instruments in this one. So I think he kind of makes it higher instead of being down here like the other one. He makes it higher so that it kind of pokes through the mix to get through all of those mid-range instruments, so it doesn't get drowned out. Interesting decision. And just like before, we're playing sort of a melody with this. So we're echoing the melody with this. And then here we have the strings playing legato notes this time. So instead of doing a lot of notes, which made the other one sound very happy, now we're doing long notes and fewer notes here to make it sadder. And here we're doing in the top note. So we're kind of doing we're staying the same in the top 2 notes. We have a minor third. Minor intervals always sound bad, so we're sticking to a lot of always sound sad. So we're sticking to a lot of minor intervals here. We start on a major chord, a G sharp major chord, but then we go down chromatically with the lower note, just like we do the bass. So we're following the bass line here, but this makes this an inverted major chord, right? An inverted C minor chord. So we're going, and we're walking down to this right here is, what is this? This is like, oh, this is a diminished chord. It's a C diminished. So we're going G sharp major, C minor, C diminished, but we're using inversions to make this a fluid motion. So G major, C major over G, inverted. That would be inverted twice. And then we're going C diminished, inverted twice, with the F sharp on the bottom. And then we start walking down a little bit more of the top notes, and we leave it to just the top notes. The reason he goes to 2 notes here is probably due to channel constraints. Like, you have a lot more going on here. You have more going on here in some way. I don't know. Difficult to say. But he switches to 2 notes here, and he walks them down chromatically again, and then drops it out. So it's a lot of chromatic movement once again. And then you have this flute again. What's this flute doing? So we have more minor third intervals. And this is kind of outlining a C diminished chord. So C diminished is even more dissonant than minor. So we have a lot of dissonant stuff going on here. And then we do that. We kind of tease this arpeggio, and then we give you the full arpeggio. And then we start walking down with the strings, right? So we're ending on this A sharp, and then we're establishing an A sharp minor arpeggio, right? So we're still having that big finish. We're still making like a resolution, but it's a resolution in a minor chord, so it's very sad. Greetings, where did you get those synths? So this is, welcome, music creator capable. And so this, I got this from the Korg Wave Station VST. That's where this sound comes from, the Korg Wave Station, so I just bought the VST on Korg's website. And then the synths, this comes from the Roland Sound Canvas VA from Roland Cloud. And this sample, this bass sample, comes from the Roland, I think it's the Roland Guitar and Bass disc, somewhere in there. It also is in the Roland R8. And this trumpet comes from the Korg M1 VST. It's the trumpet patch. So they all come from various places. This snare comes from the Roland R8 as well. It's a Roland R8 sample. So that's pretty much all of this one. So now in the melody, let's see what we're doing. We have a marimba, right? So we're doing octaves with this, but just kind of making it feel grander and bigger because we want the melody to really drive it here, and we want the melody to hit home. So we're kind of mirroring what we did with the strings, right? We're basically doing the same thing, but in arpeggios. So where in the strings we had, now in the marimba we have, and now we're kind of mirroring what we did in the pan flute. So it's all kind of connected, right? We're connecting it all together. Where it's all hinging on a chord progression of, and then we do, and then we're kind of mirroring what we did with the bass, right? We're doing. except that here, I think he uses an E here in the bass. Instead, here he uses a D sharp, which is interesting. But it's so much higher than and the bass is all the way down here. And then the D sharp is up here. It doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't really sound that dissonant. It sounds a little dissonant, but it would sound a lot more dissonant if you did it here or even here. So the closer you get the notes together, the more dissonant they sound. So he's doing... Wait. And then he's finishing it off with this. Wait. This is an A sharp minor chord again. It's kind of giving it a big finish, establishing that A sharp minor, right? Hey, back to DKC. Well, did you transcribe all the instruments? No, I ripped the data from the ROM, and then it was converted to MIDI. And then so here's the MIDI right here, raw ripped from the system. And I just had to copy all these notes down and put them to their respective things. And then I replaced the echoes, because there's like note echoes in here. I replaced those with actual delay plugins, like delay signals. So that's kind of how I did that. So basically, you can kind of see how it's all connected to a chord progression. We just have... And then... So it's kind of how there's really not a lot of functional harmony here. We're mostly just doing like different chords. And the downward motion makes it really sad. So that's kind of how you can kind of see the difference, how he creates a sad motion rather than a happy one. Okay, now here's the Level Wind song, and this one's interesting because... Wait. This song, there's actually a very subtle inspiration here. This one takes... I noticed a similarity between this and Tarzan Boy by Baltimora, which is an 80s pop song. Tarzan Boy has this chorus where you have these sort of pseudo-Tarzan calls the singer is doing, and he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. If you listen to the song, you'll hear it, but it basically sounds a lot like the melody here. Subtly, very subtly. And so kind of what that's doing here is we're kind of doing a... So we're kind of establishing like G major to F, which is kind of like the 2 in the scale, I guess. We're kind of going from G. Or we could be just climbing up from the 5, the C major, to the 1, and then establishing the 1. That would make more sense. So that makes more sense if we're going from... And then so he's sort of climbing up to this G, right? Establishing the 5th of the C major, which is the 5 of the scale. And then he's resolving to F major, the first of the root of the chord. We're going from 5 to 1. And then after that, he goes and does this arpeggio, this little trill. So to sort of drive it home, right? Because in every good resolution, we have a second resolution. So he's doing this first one here, and then doing the second one here. He's resolving again. Nice. And so now the bass in this... welcome, Xavier. And now we're doing the bonus... yes. You can call me MCC if you want. Cool. Yeah, whatever you prefer. I'm here. Have you done the Game Over theme yet? No, we've only done the jingles so far. Someone requested the jingles, but I don't think he's here right now. So the bass, now we really just have a quick 4-5-1 resolution. So it's pretty much exactly the same as the end of the bonus one, the bonus win. We're just taking that quick theme because we only want a quick resolution if you're doing if you're winning a level, right? It's like, oh, you won, yeah. So So we just do 4, 4, 5, 5, 1, 1. And he's doing that arpeggio again. And then in the snare, so that's actually, I think that's also like directly ripped from the previous version, from the end of the bonus wind version. So, and then you have this strings, which is also directly ripped. Everything is pretty much directly ripped from the bonus win version. It's just the end of the bonus win version. Yeah, this is exactly what we did in the bonus win, except it's just the end, and the melody is different. So he's just changing the melody, right? So he's really just re-melodizing it. Instead of reharmonizing it, he's re-melodizing. So cool, that's an interesting tidbit. Go listen to Tarzan Boy by Baltimore. It'll be an interesting revelation. Can you try playing the tire bouncing sound with the bass? Oh yeah, that was a really fun one. Let's see, where's that bass? Except I don't really have the mod wheel. It doesn't auto match here. Let's go. Link to controller, and then if I move the mod, the pitch wheel. But I need a bigger spread here. It's a little blocky, so it's for some reason it doesn't do it smooth whenever you do that. It's still a little wonky. So, but I'll show you guys when we get to the you'll hear it more in depth when we get to the sound effects establishment. So next we have sound effects after this. And yeah, actually we're going to sound effects right now. Next we have sound effects, and then we're going to do the game over screen. So let's see. But the tire thing is probably in impact. I sorted them out between characters, impacts, and items, and then there's one, the life balloon has one on its own. So we'll go through each of these. So tire bounce is here, right? So it's a quick, it's a slow ramp up. It goes from, it goes down. So it starts on F, and then it bends down briefly, and then it has a longer bend upwards to A. So that's cool. It's like just, if we did it just down, it would be like, and if we did it just up, it would be like, but it's interesting because he did a really intricate sound design thing where it goes down briefly and then it goes down, whoop, down, whoop, down, whoop, down. Nice. So now, what else do we have? The steel kick. This one's interesting. This is one of the most interesting sounds in the game because we have a pipe hit, but it didn't sound like this before. And I did some vibrato on here. Let me find the source sound. So the source sound was from the emulator, the EMU emulator machine. And he probably got it from a CD because I know he didn't. I don't think he had the EMU emulator thing. So let's see. We have, it's just a pipe hit sound, but what he did was he had a machine called the Roland S700, and I think like some people speculate that one had a sample editor, and so what he did was, if you notice, it's kind of a soft hit on this one. This is the raw sample from the machine, but here is where I made that edit. You can hear it has a stronger hit. So what he did was he took that sample, and if you zoom into the beginning here, he put a really sharp pop here. So what he did was he edited the sample so that it had this like, so you can see that's what this bigger vibration means. It creates a pop. Creates a popping sound. So that's pretty clever. He really knew his stuff here. He noticed that this didn't have a hard enough hit. So he's like, hey, I'm just going to edit this sample and create this pop sound myself. So now it has a much harder hit. And then I just added, here's this for the steel keg. I added an even sharper envelope here, right? So we have, I added vibrato too. So now here, and then you pitched it down from here to here. So it's kind of quite a dramatic change, but if you go... So that's kind of how you get that steel keg slash minecart sound. You also use the same sound for like the minecart hitting the tracks after your jump, which is really fun because that was a great sound to hear. And then you have, this one, the barrel break sound. Let's see. I've restored this one too. This is the clap sound. It's a clap sound from the Roland R8. So here he just pitched them way down, right? Here's the regular pitch. And he hit it. If you keep going down, it sounds like an explosion. And so what he's doing here is just using a series of explosions, right? It's a series of short bursts followed by one really long burst. So it just... And then you have this part here where he plays it down low and he uses attack. He has it fade in, so you're literally hearing just the tail here and it's looping. So, and then he's like fading it in and also pitch bending it up, which is really clever. So as far as I can hear, he's trying to create a reverb tail with this one by doing that. But here's the full sound restored. Right? So it's just these short bursts followed by this one long burst. And it's a clap sound played really low. And he's also making these echoes too. I put a delay bus on it as well as reverb. And I also EQ'd it a bit. So you got these echoes, delays. Cool. And then let's see, what else do we have? We have Ramby's plowing effect, which is also created by the clap. Pitch it down. Oh, why is that so short? That's not supposed to be like that. Something happened here. Yeah, there you go. And then Ramby's step is created by a pitch down kick drum. And it's playing a power chord. And it changes speed in the game based on how fast you walk. That's pretty cool. And then when he jumps and lands, you have a snare drum. Played all the way down here and then pitched up. Pretty cool. And then you have Diddy's landing sound, which is also a kick. And the transient is kind of taken out. It's kind of faded in a little bit, right? We have a little bit of attack. Actually, no, I think it's just pitched up. But it's played higher pitch rather than down here. And I think the transient is also taken out, so it's kind of faded in a little bit, right? So you fade it in a little bit here. So it's a softer hit. Cool. Sound design is really fun. A lot of details go into making something that is only heard for a fraction of a second sometimes, right? It's heard repeatedly, so it's like every time you land, but it is a great art. And so you have DK Land, Donkey Kong Landing. It sounds like a Disneyland ride, right? And so it's a series of hits for DK, and it's like, this is the normal pitch of the, it's a harder hit, and it's like pitched lower, but you have this soft hit, really quiet hit, and then you have the big one, and then you have an like echo after. So it's like, it's almost like all four of his like feet, his legs hitting the ground when he lands, right? Because DK walks on 2 feet. So on 4 feet, but we only have 3 here, but you know. So it's like 1 foot hitting Carter. So that's really good, like, detail. So now the minecart one is interesting. The minecart one is actually a gyro. So he looped the gyro. Like, what he did was he took a few clicks of the gyro and then he looped them. And then I just made them like pitch, like change pitch, you know, like doing like they change pitch over time. They have a little vibrato. And then you pitch them way down. So you have right? That's such a cool transformation. And for the gyro, if you don't know what a gyro is like it's a Latin percussion instrument where it's like you have a piece of a thing with like ridges on it. It's made of wood and it has ridges, and then you sliding a stick across those ridges, and so it's making this series of like of wood clicks. And so when you pitch it down, you're hearing all these individual clicks happen happen at a slower interval. Like here it's so that's you kind of like rubbing the stick. If you hear it without the that's the raw sample from the Roland R8. So it's like you're like sliding it and there's all these wooden clicks, but if you play it down and you loop it, it's basically like a bunch of low pitched clicks. Really cool. You get a nice idling sound if you pitch it down low, right? And now we have the TNT barrel, which is just the same as the barrel break, except before that you have this like precursor, these little 2 hits. And then you have the barrel break. So for that one, I just did the TNT. So you just have a bunch more, like a longer explosion. And then for the animal crash is actually a glass breaking. And he doesn't use the full sample. He only uses the initial break. If you use the full break for this, it would sound like. So he does that, but he only uses this part. Except now it's like, but if you pitch it down, you only get less of it. So he pitches it down, and then he, like, if you do use the full sample of this again, it's like. So yeah, it's pitching it all the way down. The original one was up here. So that's the glass break, and then there's echoes there too. It's echoing a lot, but then he goes. But he doesn't use the full sample. He just uses the initial hit. So that way it sounds more like it could be a wood hit or a metal hit or anything. It literally just sounds like a crash. Pretty clever. What about the extra life sounds? We'll get to that next. Right now we're only doing impacts. This is impact. So here's the barrel loading. So what you have here is a snare sample. But I think it's pitched. This is the regular pitch, but it's faded in. So instead of having the initial hit, you mostly just have the tail, right? So it's like, if you take out the attack here, it's like. But with the attack, it's like. So he's fading it in really quick, and then he's pitching it way down. So instead of being. And then, so that's them loading into the barrel, and then you have the second hit, which is literally just the transient of the snare. Wait. You have just the hit of the snare, right? So I'm extending it, and instead I'm doing like this. Whoops. Wow. Why? So you have just the hit of it, and then it's pitched. Here's the regular pitch. It's pitched down. So it whoosh. It's like it's like them like whooshing into the barrel and then hitting the back with a thud. So it's very accurate, very like he really thought about this. He was like, how would it sound if they like went into the barrel? It's like very good imagination. And then the barrel cannon shooting out is a series of claps, right? And then it's a second one at the same pitch, but this one's shorter. This one's short and this one's longer. Nice. Pretty clever. Okay, next we have, I'm gonna go through... I'm gonna go through, someone mentioned the life sound. The life sound is a really cool one. So the life sound, most of that sound is actually strings. So he uses but he uses such short and quick notes that you just hear it as like this bubbling effect, right? So we have, and he does in a B flat major arpeggio, starting on F, he does, wait. So he's going do do do. And all of these notes are kind of like different length, right? Like he varies the length so it sounds organic, like this one's long, this one's short. And they're all different velocities too. So they're going up and down. It's like very much a bubbling live sound. So if you hear it all together, it sounds like nice, right? So if you slow that down, it's like, whoops. And then it's also echoing too, so you have echoes in there, in between the notes. And then this sound, the counter sound, oh, it's at the wrong pitch now. Weird. Let me see if that's the right sample it's using. Sometimes it latches onto different samples when it can't find the other one. Oh yeah, it's using the complete wrong sample. A lot of times FL Studio, because I moved this project location from Dropbox to Drive, and what FL Studio does, it's like, hey, I can't find this anymore. I guess I'll just find another one that's named the same thing and assume that's what you need. It doesn't even ask. So you get a lot of problems like that because of FL Studio being programmed badly. So now, this is our clave, the same one used for like the aquatic ambience. This is a Latin instrument. It's another Latin percussion instrument where you just have two wooden sticks and you just pop them together. And it makes this, it's used a lot for Latin music. So here we take that clave and we just pitch it down, right? It's like, oh yeah, actually it's, no, that's not the right pitch. The right pitch is like, something like that. Can't remember which one it is. There it is. That's ringing. That set off an alarm in my brain. So it's a clave like that, and it's just doing a major third, like. Silly FL Studio, yeah, very fanfare. Gives it that victorious feel, yeah, right. It's like, so it's important that he used a major chord for this. If he used a minor chord, it would sound like this. Oops. Now it's muted though. But it sounds a little sadder, right? Nice. Okay, so what else do we have here? Oh yeah. Oh wow, this sound is the wrong one, I think. What sound are you using now, FL Studio? Oh wow, another random clap sound that you found. And very interesting, not helpful at all. So the clap sound, so the pop sound when you die is the clap sound again from the Roland R8. Pitch down an octave. So it sounds more like a pop, right? And then you have this fade in, like of the clap. So it's like sort of blows up a bit and then it's just like, so it's sort of like you're blowing it up, you're blowing up the balloon and it's popping. Also could be a slap. Okay? Like the whooshing and then the pop. Which is also the same sound that plays whenever you like tag your teammate, like pop. Definitely silly FFG. I have a weird bug where it looks up when popping submenus in, like to select the plugin, and the windows disappear and it freezes until I spin the mouse. But yeah, it sounds like it. It's also like a Windows thing. Windows is very unstable and badly programmed. So yeah, that's about it for that one. Let's go through some, what else do we have? We have characters. That'll be fun. That's FL Studio, like, looking for bad, like, samples when it can't find the other one. That's why it's taking so long. I thought I found the Clobber Scream. I think it's kind of similar. So when Clobber pops out in DK2, it's like an actual scream, but it's like... Wait, no, that's something else. But instead of that, it's like... And that's also when Cudgel screams, he goes, which one was... I don't have that one here. But it's really compressed in the game, so it sounds different. Either that or if that's just the wrong one in general, I don't know. But it was really compressed in the game, like more compressed than most of them. I think this is Cudgel's thing. Yeah, that was Cudgel's. Nice. And now here's the bonk sound whenever you hit an enemy. So this is just the beginning of a kick. You have just the initial hit of the kick sample. And then you have, so it's like a nice pop, and then you have a synth bass. This is the synth bass from whenever you're in Life in the Mines. But it's like pitch down. It pitch bends down. So this is going down from here to here. Oh, it's pitch bending up from here to here. So nice, fun, bassy sound. And then there's when something in the life balloon that sounds like the green went up mushroom from Super Mario World. They probably inspired it off of that because it's probably also in our arpeggiated major chord. But it's probably using a square tone, like a square synth. Oh no, Super Mario World was also the SNES, right? Also amazed about how the Neki sound was created. Yeah, I think that was something recorded by Rare. They just like, let's make a bird squawk sound. Rah! And then there's no actual source for that. They recorded that. Now this is a jump. Animal buddy jumping, or the minecart jumping. This is the Wave Station wood flute. Except that it has the pitch bend programmed in there. If I took off the pitch bend, it would be like this. So that was also used in Aquatic Ambience. Yeah. So that's a fun sound. Pitch bending up. And then Cranky's chair is interesting. Cranky's chair squeak. Very high pitched sound. I need to actually like low pass that some. But it's actually the piano. It's like a single cycle waveform of a piano, right? Oh yeah, that was like the single cycle of a like taken from the piano. It's just a piece of a piano and it's made into a synth. And it's also, so you have some attack here, some fade in on the envelope. That's without that. That's with it. And then you have a pitch bend, right? This is without the pitch bend. It's a pitch bend up. So he's sort of making a squeak sound out of like a single cycle piano waveform. This chair sounds like a cricket, right? It kind of does. Then would you say is your favorite DKC sound effect and why? I would say that definitely the steel keg sound, because I loved hearing, like, it's just such an cool, interesting hit sound, like metal hit sound, and I loved like playing the minecart levels and just be like, I love that sound for some reason. I don't know why. In DKC exposed VHS tape, they said they went to the zoo to get the ape motions to see how they behaved before. That is a good idea. Yeah, I think they watched like National Geographic too, right? Yeah, that makes sense. That's how you do it if you want to make a game like that. They really went the extra mile to make this realistic. So here's the swish sound, which is just the clap pitch bent up. No, it's actually not. Oh wait, it is pitch bent. It's the clap with the transient taken out, and it's just, and so it's just like noise, really. And then here's Diddy's waiting sound. So he takes off his cap, you have this swish. And then you just have a gyro. Pitch bent up. Like, no, it's just playing up. That's cool. It's kind of like, so whereas a gyro is like where you're scratching this wood with another piece of wood, they'd use it to make him Diddy scratching his hit. Pretty cool. And so in guard, when on guard stabs, that's a droplet, right? And it's pitch bending up. So you have this, it's shortened, pitch bending up, just a little bit, but then when you go down, it's like, so it's a slowed down droplet, water droplet sound. And there's also echoes, if you didn't notice. Now, Zinger is a cool sound. This is that synth bass again. But it has two voices in it. And it's hard to tell with this thing, but it's actually two voices, and they're like, they're very dissonantly out of tune. Like, it's two synth bass voices, and they're just out of tune with each other, and it's making this really dissonant buzzing sound. It's pretty cool. And then for Zinger dying, well, that's DK2. Yeah, this is actually like a bee buzzing sound. And then they just pitch bend it down. But for Zinger dying from DK1 is just that same sound but pitch bent. So they just play it up higher and then they pitch bend it. See, it's pitch bending down. Nice. Okay, and then Fuel Lost is the pipe hit sound, but just the transient of it. And then it's also one that's like with the transient taken out, so it's just like a little click. And then it plays up high after that. And then when the enemy is active, this plays whenever like the Rock Crocs in Stop and Go Station, whenever it goes back to stop, they get up and start running again. And this also plays in Croctopus Chase whenever the octopi see you. And it's also just really like whenever the armadillos see you and start rolling, so it's really whenever an enemy is activated. But this is just a Gyro with a pitch bend down. And so this is actually similar. I think this was created by inspiration of the Super Mario pipe sound, right? The turr, turr, turr. So because it sort of sounds like that. I think it was created as an inspiration of that. The zinger buzzing sounds like it gives kind of a Doppler effect. Yeah, it's a Doppler effect is like whenever something is moving so fast that it sounds like the pitch is changing, but this one the pitch is actually changing. So it's kind of giving a car flyby effect. Doing the same speed. Wonder what the DKC3 version of Zinger is like. I think they just use the same sound as DK2. It's still that doo. Yeah, that's the same sound in DK3. So, what is the next sound that I have here? Items. Okay, got some cleaning up to do here. So here's an activator. That's whenever you have the barrel activator of like stop and go station, loopy lights, and stuff like that. This is just a marimba note. It's 2 marimba notes. Playing a perfect fourth. Now here's the banana bunch, which is just the claves, right? We had different pitches. And they're very shortened. Right, so this is and this is playing like just B's and F sharp, so it's a B power chord. Perfect fifth in B, and they're just nice. And then this is just the singular banana where it's just like still clave. This is like the normal clave pitch. And I think that's the wrong wave too, like it's taking one of those wrong samples again. Yeah, see, that's FL Studio being stupid again. Wish they would really program that better. Like, don't like if something is not right, just ask. Like, ask to change it. No, I'm not fixing all of those. So here we have the animal token, which is an Epsus4 chord. Oh wait, no, it's actually, then it has that G in there. Which is actually the clave again. So a lot of these sound effects are, like the item sound effects are just the clave at different pitches. Pretty cool. And then the K letter is just a piano playing in, what is this, a dominant chord? Dominant 7 chords, because you have, this is B dominant 7. So there's a major chord at the bottom here, and then a diminished chord on top. I think it's even taking the wrong, no, this is just the Sound Canvas VA. Very reverberated, though. And then the bonus is a square wave, playing different pitches, right? Just sort of random pitches, I think. Not really a discernible chord of any kind. But something of note is that the final tones at the top are rising, so it's kind of like rising a little bit. Pretty nice. And then you have whatever this is. Oh yeah, this is the gaining fuel effect, which is also the claves. Oh, banana. Yeah, very satisfying sound. Almost sounds like, yeah, see, it does sound like the Mario pipe sound, right? I'm not the only one that noticed that. Okay, so that's all the sound effects. Now we can move on to, let's move on to the game over screen now. This one's a fun one. They really went the sad route with this one. And so, this one uses, do we have a bass here? I think we do have some kind of bass. I think this is just playing the bass. No, this is just strings. Okay, so we really don't have a bass here. Let's go for the harmony strings first. So you have... Oh, but the envelope controller is going to mess me up here. So we have a C power chord, and fifths tend to sound really sad. This is a perfect fifth right here. All of these are perfect fifths. And we call this open fifths. Open fifths tend to sound pretty sad because you have no emotion here. If you want to be sad, if you want to be happy, use a major chord. You want to be sad, use a minor chord. And if you want deep and profound emptiness, just use an open fifth. See how that works? So you have C5, C open fifths, B flat open fifths. And then you have a minor third, which is very sad. And then you have some dissonant major seconds. And then you have a major third. And then you go back to that open fifth. So we're kind of introducing, like, first we have, like, no tension. It's really just, like, sad emptiness. The bitter emptiness of the abyss. Existential dread. And we go back and forth between that. And then we introduce some tension here by going up. And then so we introduce some tension by suddenly going up high. And then we gradually fall back down to that empty open fifth. And these are also supposed to be fading out all the way, which makes them feel sadder in a way. Profound sadness, yes. The banana horde is lost. The island is now starving. Yeah, that's really dark, right? And so then we have this vox, right? We have this air vox from the wave station. This was the strings from the Sound Canvas VA. So here we have some more emotion. We have these open fifths up high in a higher octave. Actually, I think these are the same octave. But here we have this D sharp establishing a minor chord up high. This is that EDM technique I told you guys about with that other stream where it's like... Basically, what he's doing is he's taking the third, and he's taking this third and he's moving it up an octave. So it makes the chord feel bigger without using as many notes. Which is very useful for the SNES, right? Because you only have 8 channels. And then he changes with the other chords to B flat open fifth. But he keeps that top note the same for a minute. And this creates what's known as a sus4 chord, B flat sus4, meaning that instead of it being major or minor, you have a sus4 because these are fourths right here. So these are fourths, and then you have, so it's a sus4 because it's sustaining 4. And then he suddenly resolves it to major. He's like, oh, sus4, and then... So this is kind of a common thing that they do in music to like create a slow resolution where you'll do... So you can hear it sometimes in music. It's a pretty interesting effect. So he kind of creates a resolution where we have tension here, but then we resolve it with to a major chord. Pretty cool. And then he goes straight back to open fifths, right, with no third. So now it's really like profound emptiness. We start out with a solid chord. And then you come in with this bass. Oh, we do have a bass in this song. Cool, this is another Airvox with that famous DK synth like Vox bass. So we're definitely establishing this is in C minor. And then when he goes up here, this is mirroring what the strings are doing. We have an F in the bass, meaning that this is basically, what is this, an F sus2? No, this is like A sharp, F, and G, meaning this is like an A sharp, I don't know, flat 7 or something like that. Weird. But it works. And then he resolves again to this other thing, this A, which makes this sort of like, we just have F in the bass, and then G and A, really. So it's kind of just these dissonant chords. And here we're now just establishing we hit F here, so we're just kind of resolving to a major 4 chord. This is almost like a kind of like a 4-to-1 resolution, right? Because we have F here, the beginnings of F major here, and then we go straight to C. It's sort of like a resolution. It's not as strong as 5-to-1. 4-to-1 is strong enough. And besides, 5-to-1 would make it really satisfying and happy, and we don't want that. So we do 4-to-1 instead. Now in the melody, what do we have going on? Nothing. We have a harp sweep, right? Going from, so this sweep is just C, G, C, D, G. So we're sort of like doing a C sus2 chord, sus2 arpeggio, and then we do, and then we come in with the pan flute. But this pan flute is also layered with the regular flute, or we're using a shakuhachi. This is the same flute that's like... except that it has the transient removed. So, a shakuhachi has a distinctive transient. So for this game, he just removed the transient to make it sound like a nice flute. Makes it sound more normal. So he's layering the pan flute with this regular flute for more resonance. And I think the pan flute has a strong fundamental, but it doesn't have a lot going on up here. Most of it is just the fundamental, and then it's just noise up at the top. So he layers it with this shakuhachi to create more of some more harmonic value up at the top. So what's the melody being played here? We have C, G, D sharp, basically outlining a C major chord, a C minor chord. Moving down a minor chord. This is also what makes this, a lot of what makes this song sad, is that they have these common, like, second movements, right? That one's like kind of what really ripped your heart out. So you have these open fifths, and then this jump up, really highlighting that sad section, right? Dun, dun. And then so then you have this sort of arpeggio down, making this like a further establishing this as like a B flat major chord, making this sort of a B flat major chord, but then it bends up to G, and it makes this like dum dum. Pretty cool. That's it. Nice. Okay, so what's next? What should we do next? So we have, the only ones I haven't done are Voices of the Temple, Simian Sieg. Let's do Simian Sieg since that one's like a major theme. Why was DK hoarding the bananas to begin with? Is he the island's main banana dealer? That could be, you know, it's like, but I think it's mostly like to eat, you know, it's like their supply of food. But then if one is taking all this literally, they must wonder like what happens when those bananas go bad, because bananas don't last very long. I think that's the saddest game over screen I've ever heard, right? Like the DK was killing it with the sad music. Dude just doesn't want to go hungry. Okay, so for this thing, probably one of the most signature parts of this song is the harp sweep. So this is a looks like we've got A sharp, A, C sharp, E, basically making this an A major chord. And then we go G, making it an A dominant. And then we go B, mini bend. That's like kind of a ninth here, right? So we have this huge chord with extended harmonies, basically. But then we go snap back to the A major because she doesn't really want to do. So she just goes back to that major dominant 7 chord for the C, and then just ends it on the A because it's an A chord. So she ends it the same way she began. I just barely have enough I only have enough fingers to play everything except that last note. If I had like 11 fingers, I could just play it. Or if I had 11 fingers, I could play that last. Wait, I do have a. No, wait. This is like my fingers are just not far enough apart to play all this. Yeah, this is like I can't spread my fingers far enough to play that. But we're not here to play stuff anyway, so. And this is just the same thing, just pitched down a fifth, but it's for later in the song. So what do we have going on here in the bass? The bass is just bouncing between 1 5 1 5 1 1. No, 1 5. What is this? 6 7 1 5 1 5 1 5 6 7 1 5 1 5 6 7. And they take a little bit of the transient out of this bass to make it sound softer and more mellow. It's pretty clever. And then it goes up to the 5 to the 4 chord. Because we're in A here, we're definitely in A major. Dun, 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 dun. Then we go to the 4 chord, right, which is D. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, 4 1 4. Oh wait, we hang on 4. Then we go to 1. Dun, 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 dun. Basically just playing around with that. Then we're gonna do another change here to 4. And then we have a big key change in this song at some point. Dun, 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 dun. Then we go to G. So this is a key change to G major. Or it might just be that chord, right? I'm not sure. I'll have to see. But that would be this. That would be the flat 7 chord, which means that we're not in major at all. We're actually going modulating to like Dorian or something. Those little lines look like unamused faces. Nice. Okay, so besides the bass, that soft jazz bass, we now have some shakers going on. And in the game, they actually use like some weird waveform. They made uses of the SNES's compression system, so it didn't sound quite right whenever you stored it. So I just used shakers because it sounded like the Roland R8 shakers. But I think the original was like a triangle mute or something like that. Muted triangle. It was like... Okay, I don't even have it here. Oh, cowbell mute. It was like this thing. I think was creating it. But I just went for the shakers here because it was just easier and it sounded better. So we have like a... So here, what is going on here? What's the beat? We have kind of a swing beat, I think. It's like... We have like some syncopation here, right? It's like... We have like slow, fast kind of going on. Those higher shakers are kind of like the snares, right? Like these are the snares. Or what is it? I think it's this one is the snare. Yeah, this one is the snare. So we definitely have sort of a Latin rhythm because the snare is not occurring on the 2 and the 4. But this is in 3. This is encoded in 3/4, but I think it's actually like 4/4, which is what Evelyn commonly did. So it's like 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the snare is occurring on the 2 and 4. But it's a fun beat. And so in the harmony we have these are the synth strings. This is the string waveform. So it's doing we have A major, but except that the envelope controller ruins that for me. Envelope controllers are so annoying. The fact that the Sound Canvas VA doesn't have any control over the envelope is so stupid. So you have... Actually, I'll just enable the thing. I don't need to play it. So it's like these short bursts to create like a really punchy rhythm. And right here, we're kind of going to F sharp minor, inverted. So this is like F, A, and C. So F sharp minor. So we're kind of in the key of A, that is the 6. So we're kind of going 1, 1, 6, 1, 1, 6, 1, 1, 6, 1, 1, 6, 1. And this is kind of like, what is this? This is like a sus2 chord, actually. But except that this is not like sus2 flat 5th or something like that. It's a very jazzy chord. Actually, no, this is A dominant. So we're kind of having that 7th up there. So we're kind of climbing. It's like da 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 da. So she's kind of doing some melodic, harmonic stuff, rhythmic. And then we go up to that 5, right? No, this is actually just going up to the dominant. So it's like going up to A7, A dominant 7. So she's kind of playing with the natural major chord and then going up to the dominant. for like some more emphasis. And now here we go to the 4 chord, the D major. Once again playing with the dominants. And she's kind of playing with 12-bar blues form here, because 12-bar blues is like where you go, let me see if I have... Not even the piano lets me do it. It's so dumb. I'm not doing that on the bass. So it's like... We're kind of going to... So in 12-bar blues, you would go... A, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's 12-bar blues, but instead of doing that, she just keeps jumping around on the 4 and never gets to the 5. That's probably because going to the 5 would be too much of a resolution, so she avoids that resolution just to make the piece feel like it's lounging, right? And then you have this piano. Once again, this is really just playing with, like, you have the major chord here, and then you go up to F sharp in the top, and then she does something interesting here, which is like you go down to D. This is basically being dissonant, but it's stylistic dissonance, because you have like a perfect 4th here, but you also have a major 3rd here, so it's not so bad. You know, it's kind of bluesy, right? And then she's doing like a call and response, where it's like the piano calls and then the strings respond. And then she's doing the same thing here, just an octave higher. And then the strings do the same thing, but it's a straight repetition of the last one. Which is sort of what Aquatic Ambience did when you had na 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 na. That was also an octave up. So then you have... Now she's changing the she's doing a key change. This is a key change up to D. So we spent the whole time like kind of jumping from A major to the 4 to the D chord. Now we're going to the D scale. So we're just transposing everything up into D. Going up to the 4th of D, that's where we get that G. Nice. So this is basically we're doing like the G chord, right? And then this last one, the strings do the G chord, but it's inverted, so you have A on the bottom instead of on the top. And then here we actually do also a D, like it's just a D chord again, but it's inverted up, where you have the D on the top. So it's inverted in the other direction. And then you just have the strings repeating the same thing, right? And what's interesting is here she kind of goes up to this F sharp in the top note, but here she just goes down, straight down to the D, which is sort of more resolved, because you just have a power chord here, or a perfect 4th. Nice. And then in the melody, you have... So here she's like kind of doing something in A, but instead she's using the A minor, which is interesting because it's breaking the scale. But like we said, Evelyn's kind of an experimentalist, so this is like... She's kind of using the blues form here, but she's using the major form in the harmony, which is interesting. But the reason she can get away with it is because the piano is so up high that you can't hear the dissonance. There's such a big thing because the strings are like way down here. The piano's up here, so it makes the dissonance pretty much inaudible. So this is kind of a blues form right here, like right? She's using a little bit of the A blues scale. Really feels like that. A pentatonic. We call it A minor pentatonic. Yeah, here she's kind of going into major. She starts out doing like a bluesy lounging thing, but now she goes into something more happy, and that's because she's establishing the A major chord, right? Like we're using that C sharp instead of the C natural. And she's doing this is pretty much outlining an A major chord, right? Like you have the E, the A going and then following the B up to the C sharp. So we're going more a little bit in major here. The beginning of this piece, we're more like doing a lounging bluesy thing. And then in the clarinet, we have this. This is not loud enough. Yeah, this needs to be much louder. This is kind of a fun minor melody, and she's going from the dominant in the chord, the G. She's kind of establishing that diminished chord of the scale for some bluesiness. Da, 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 da. And then this is like kind of dissonant, right? Because it's like, so in the context of a chord, it's like, but then she resolves it to just the major. So it ends up sounding happy. She ends it on a happy note. And so this is also, someone pointed this out recently, actually, on my YouTube. This one sounds very much sounds like this song by Doris someone. It's like Love Child or something like that, but it uses that melody, and it uses it on a glockenspiel. You can hear it in the Songs That Inspired Donkey Kong Country playlist that I have on my channel. But you'll hear it, it's like ding, ding, ding. And it's the same notes and everything. Might be, who is she? Evelyn Fisher, the composer. It might be a stupid question, but what does it mean when a chord is numbered like that? How do you know which chords you can pick from? It can't all be like major thirds there, so there are many variants of chord. There are so many variants of chords. What that means is the number means the context of it in the scale. So if I say, oh, I want to do a 4-5-1, well, you have to tell me which scale, because a 4-5-1 in the key of C, like if you have the key of C, you have all these notes. So to build a chord off of each of the notes in that scale, you need to count, right? So the 1 is C. C is the first note of that scale, and then D is 2, the second note in the scale. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, back to C. And so what that means is, like, if you build a chord off of this scale, this is the one chord. So it's the chord built off the first note, the C. So, and then if you do the 2 chord, the 2 chord would be built off the second note in the scale. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's really high. 7, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And so why do we call it by the numbers? Why don't we just call it, hey, this is C, this is C, this is D, this is E, this is F? Because these things have to be changed in context to different scales. So let's say I have, let's say I do that in D instead. I could build the scale off D major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. You have to be able to say, okay, because a song could be changed in scale. You can change the scale of a song, and it would still sound the same, just higher. So it would still be like the same context. So in the world of songwriting, we have to know, okay, we have to know which chords I'm using based on the context of the scale. So if I wanted to do a 4-5-1 in C, 4-5-1, the fourth chord of the scale, the fifth chord of the scale, then down to the one chord, the first chord of the scale, is the most satisfying resolution you can have in music. So in the context of C, that would be, you would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would build a chord off that. You would do 4, 5, 1. But of course, that we don't just want to do that in C. We want to be able to do that in any scale. So if we were to go to D major instead, we would do 1. This is the 1 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4 is G, and then the 5 is A. So if we wanted to say, hey, let's do a 4-5-1 in D major, we would have to be able to do 4-5-1. But that's a different chord, because instead of being on F, G, C, we're now on G, A, D. But it says the same thing. It feels the same. It's just higher. So you have to be able to know what you're referring to in the world of songwriting. Love Child by Diana Ross and the Supremes. Yes, that one. It's exactly that one. It has this like glockenspiel melody that goes ding, 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 ding. Pretty cool. Yeah, you can listen to that. It's got like the same melody. So that's what I mean. That's kind of what I mean. That's a little rundown in songwriting. That's what we refer to like the first and fourth and fifth degrees of the scale. So then we kind of give the melody a rest, right? Now we're going to major. You can hear how much happier that sounds. But then we go with the clarinet, we go back to that bluesy thing, and now we're doing this thing in where we use the bluesy C in the key of so we're like attributing that to the major in the context of the major. Also, why that works is because in the context, this is the blues scale, is like, so we include both that A major and the A minor in there. So that means we can also do that. And that sounds more bluesy than if we went. Pretty cool. It sounds it gives it a bluesy value. Interesting. Do you still say on the 5 if it's not that chord structure? What is a suspended chord, for example? So a suspended chord means that you either, so let's say you have a major chord here, a C major. If you want it to be suspended, you could either be major, if we have it here, that means you have, let's say for example, let's pretend all these notes, so there's no black keys, there's no white keys. All these keys are the same interval. This is the same amount of hertz as if you went from here to here. All these are the same amount of hertz apart. So what we call a major chord is where you consider all these the same. There's no scale. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. This 4 are a major third because this is like in the context of the scale. This is 1, 2, 3. This is a major third. And then if you go out of the scale and go, this is a minor chord, minor third. So basically a major chord is this and a minor chord is this. But a suspended chord can either be this or this. So that means in the middle here, it all depends on where you put the middle note. So you have a suspended fourth because this is a fourth, right? In the context of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a suspended fourth. And a suspended second would be, a suspended 2 chord would be 1, 2. So you have that's what you have your sus chords. So it's still, and if you had this on the 5, like let's say you have a 5 sus4 chord, that would still be on the 5 because you're building it on the fifth of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's still a fifth, a 5 chord. We just call it, like, it doesn't matter if it's like a 5 major. Oh, let's do this in a lower octave. A 5 major, a 5 minor, or a 5 sus, 5 sus 4, or a 5 sus 2. It's still built on the 5th degree of the scale, therefore it is still a 5 chord. Although you could not have in the context of C major, you could not have a G minor chord, because this A sharp is outside the scale. You would have to be in either a C Dorian for that. I would think it's Dorian, right? I'm not quite sure about that, but or you would have to be in C minor. Where you would have this G minor. Gotcha, that's what I've been stuck on for a while. You're so good at explaining. Thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm glad you learned something. The DKC Inspiration playlist seemed to have a deleted video on it. Any idea which one it was? It was probably, I think one of the videos recently went unavailable. That was the video that I used for In the Air Tonight, but I added a different video now, so that one's in there. So that's fixed. Hey, Drew Stalgic, welcome. Love the new Sticker Bush mix. Thank you. Glad you like it. Okay, so we did some bluesy stuff here with this clarinet. Now you have a call and response between the piano, which is doing this sort of major stuff. Let's see. So we're doing like this. She's like suddenly snapping up high, right? We're doing to this dominant. The G is the dominant of A. So we're doing and when I say dominant, I mean like this is a dominant chord in the key of C major would be so where you have these 3 notes here, this major chord. For a dominant, you would add a minor third on top of that, which creates a diminished chord here, right? Because instead of being minor, you have the top note pushed down. This is a diminished chord. And so if you put a diminished chord on top of a major chord, you have like, that's called a dominant chord. And it's very bluesy. It's very much used in blues music. So what she's doing here is like she's starting on the G, which is the dominant of A major. And she's kind of walking that down diatonically, right? But in the minor scale, instead she's not using the C sharp as would be in the major scale. She's using that blues C for that minor third. So now, and then you're having this fun call and response between the piano and the clarinet, right? And the clarinet's doing the same thing in the lower octave. And then we do the same thing, except that we're also walking down diatonically again, but we're starting lower. We're starting in E. And then we're doing the same thing in the clarinet. And then we after all this like soloing, we go back to the clarinet melody. Back to that melody we know and love. And then we have this piano thing going on in the harmony. And then we do the key change to D, from A to D. And then we do like something different here. Now we're going into G. This is where our G chord was, I believe. Yeah, G major. So here we have the piano doing the what is this? The dominant of G major, which is the F. And then it's still playing with that bluesy dominant. So, and then we're doing that same thing in the G scale with the clarinet. Except no, this is still in the scale of A. We're still doing this in the scale of A, meaning that this is now in a different context. So now we're within the major scale. We're not doing anything really bluesy here. But the fact that we're resting on the second is kind of bluesy. So we're doing this walk down again diatonically. And then we're doing this to modulate from G back into C. Back into the A. Back into A. So we're going back to that key that we know and love. And then we go back up to, we loop it back, basically. Okay, so now, what next? What do we want to do next? I'm in DK2 right now. Let's do the credits theme. That was a major theme. The absence of any suggestions. Because I want to feel like 2 hours of this, so we'll do one more. And then I'm going to go take a break, eat and stuff, and then we'll go we'll do some DK2 analysis. We also put up, in the spirit of that, we put up a new video of Stickerbridge Symphony, like an 2024 mix video. So check that out if you haven't already. Did you do Millstone Mayhem? I have not. Do you want us to do Millstone Mayhem? Or Voices of the Temple? We can do that one. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you, B. Parker. All right, let's do let's try Voices of the Temple. Here, if you don't mind, couldn't recall the name of this song. Yes. This is another Evelyn piece. Okay, so this one's a fun one, very experimental. What do we want to do for the bass? That famous DK bass. Wow, I think we something up. So this bass is in C again. And let's see, yeah, it pretty much just does that, and then it like rises a little bit chromatically. Certain parts of the mix. So, and then above that you have a drum. It's sort of like a drum, but it's a harp note with just the transient. Just the transient, basically doing like a percussive thing. Basically do this beat of dun, 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 dun. So what she does is in the higher octave she does like the regular beat and then puts the off notes on the lower octave. Basically it's got a constant rhythm, but it's only accentuating, it's a way of accentuating the higher notes, or the notes that you want. And that pretty much repeats for a while. Then you have this thing here. You have some strings here. Synth strings here, just a G note fading out. Then it does a minor second, which a minor second is as dissonant as it gets. You can't have anything more dissonant than a minor second. Two notes right next to each other is super dissonant. And the way music works with dissonance is it's like the closer you get, when you get really close together, it's dissonant. Then whenever you get further apart, it's a little better, right? That's a little less dissonant. And then that's a little less dissonant. That's a minor thing. Then that's happy. That's really good. Then that's like, oh, that's really complete. then it's like suddenly, oh, that's really dissonant. That's a tritone. That's called a tritone. And then you have a perfect fifth. Ooh, now that's real. That's an open fifth. That's really like basically like half, like sort of like a third of the original frequency. And then you start to have more dissonance. That's a little bit tense. That one's a little less tense. Ooh, that's more tense. Ooh, that's really tense. And then here you get an octave. That's really tense. That's really like wholesome sounding. So this is double the frequency of that. These are both, that's why they're both G's. But right before that, you get some dissonant stuff. It's not quite as dissonant as a minor third or minor second, but it is pretty dissonant. That's kind of how the dissonance is. There's a newer version of Stickerbush. Awesome. Yes, check it out. So what she's doing is she's kind of like, okay, we're establishing some wholesome, like we're not doing anything really dissonant yet. Then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, scary interval. And she goes back down. And then she's cycling. So it's sort of like a horror ambience, so to speak. And then later on she starts rising, right? Like she does this, and then then she's spreading them out, right? This one's going lower, this one's going higher, until you have a power chord here, an open fifth. Then you have an open fourth. Which is a little less wholesome, right? So she's like building tension, taking it away. Slowly building tension and taking it away. And then in the melody here, if you can call it that, you have the harp, the low harp, playing like a power chord. It's kind of like we did for Treetop Rock. It's playing an open fifth with an octave above it. And then you have the marimba. Oops. The marimba is doing this low bell thing. These minor seconds, so are they really dissonant like that? And that's a kick drum back there. We have like a kick drum kind of fading in and playing rapidly. But it's played very high, so this is like up here. High-pitched kick drum. And then it echoes out. And then we have the, I called it a pizzicato. It's kind of like a pizzicato thing. Sort of supposed to be like pizzicato violin, I think, or a cello. And then you have a proper, like, oh, it's like... So this is doing a power chord on C. And then it's doing like some like dominant stuff, some blues pentatonic stuff, right? And this alludes to where we have the pan flute, right? So you have it doing this once again, this dissonant minor second thing, and then you have it doing it in the lower octave too. Kind of like aquatic ambience. Basically resolving back down to C. So this piece I would say is in like C Dorian, so to speak, I think. Once again, doing a call and response in the lower octave. Actually, it sounds like it's in G minor, but we're establishing the home in C, which is actually, I think, what Dorian means, kind of. But actually, this is in C minor, actually. Yeah, this is in C minor, because you have this E flat here. Millstone Mayhem, yes. some point we got to see the Wii Shop Channel restoration. What? Wii Shop Channel, isn't that like isn't that when didn't the Wii have linear audio? Isn't that already in full HD? I don't know. I haven't played video games in a long time. So, yeah, we're basically playing around with C minor here. Outlining a G minor chord. So we're sort of outlining, sort of implying just like an inverted C, an inverted minor chord to a natural minor chord. So 1, 5. Something that they do a lot in this game, in these games. And the harmony is changing a little bit here too to match this. So we get, during this time we have a G minor, G, sort of establishing G minor. Basically making this whole thing like a C. Since there's C in the bass, we have a constant C going in the bass. That makes this like a C minor 7. Except that I can't play that. So which makes this like a 7th if we consider the bass, right? That's C minor 7. And then and we still have C in the bass, so it's still technically a C chord. But now we're doing some like more dissonant stuff. This is really experimental. This has not really a functional element to it. So we're doing like a G minor. Still doing and now here we're kind of changing it, right? Like we're C and C with the C in the bass, this F sharp makes it really dissonant because it's a tritone, right? And then you have this B, which makes it extra dissonant. So we're creating a lot of dissonance here. And we're going like from A sharp to, so we have something really harmonic and chordal in the melody, but in the harmony, we're doing like real dissonance here. Right, but then we're starting to remove the dissonance, right? Actually, this is an open fifth, so we pretty much like we go from really dissonant with a lot of weird intervals to open fifth in G, in like C. And then this percussion here is a I called it rattlesnake because it sounds like a rattlesnake. But basically we're using the hi-hat waveform. And we're playing it down low. And also, this is something I didn't cover in the sound effects, but Rambi's panting is just a hi-hat. If you listen. But it's kind of, the note kind of fades in instead of just being constant like that. Wait, is it in linear? Never mind, we don't have to do that. It's like, what do you mean, is it in linear? You mean the Wii Shop channel. Yeah, I don't know if the Wii had linear audio or not. I don't know. I thought it did because it doesn't sound very low quality. I don't know. So we're kind of doing like a shaker effect, right? Like she's trying to mimic a shaker using this hi-hat. We have this quick note and it like it's basically just serving to make it like sound like a shaker. And actually, and here it's like going up even more. We're just climbing up chromatically. That sounds like an African rain stick. It's like shh, shh. That's kind of, I think she's kind of trying to make an African rain stick sound. And it's kind of using syncopation here, because right here we have this on the offbeat, on beat. This one's on the offbeat, so this is like not within the grid at all. So it's creating a little bit of a beat, a little bit of syncopation. Drive it forward. And then all the while we have that pan flute going on, we have a little harp riff here. And this is cool because it's kind of, here, this C sharp is not in the scale of C minor. We're experimenting with the Phrygian, like sort of Spanish stuff here. So we're basically doing a lot of like flat sus 2 chords, right? So this would be an open 5th, except that we pass this C sharp here. And then we're doing some like pentatonic stuff here. This is sort of like C Phrygian a little bit. Yeah. Except that this would be, yeah, this would be Phrygian. Because we do use that G there. Which Phrygian feels very Spanish, so she's kind of like nodding to Spanish music here. Which she's also done in a lot in Treetop Rock. We have this sort of ostinato, right? And then you have I thought there was, oh wait, no. And then you have this quick riff. It's like a little minor. It's like kind of returning to minor, really. Okay, and then you come in with this beat, right? And then you come back in with, we've also sped up the tempo a little bit here. If you notice, it got a little faster. So you have this riff. Oh, we sped up a lot. So she's doing that Phrygian thing again. And then she does an arpeggio in the marimba. But for also, we have this, so here we're doing this sort of like sudden like stinger in the harp, right? We have F, higher octave F, lower octave F, so we have a bunch of Fs. And then we go to G. Using pitch bends here, right? Creating this like suspense, you know? Like that also sounds very Spanish, because a lot of times Spanish music would have these long pitch bends up. Sort of like Western music. Also, Western music had that a lot. And I think like The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, and Ennio Morricone did a lot of that, which was also a nod to like Spanish music a little bit. So we're doing that pitch bend up from F to G, kind of like we did this stinger from F to G. Then we do F to G, B flat to C. Nice. It's like very like chilling, but at the same time it builds a little bit of suspense. wonder who built the temples. Ah, yeah, right? It's probably ancient. Because the temples do have, like, these alligator statues on them, so it might be, like, ancient Kremlinks. Ancient Kremlinks' civilization. And then you have this sweep in the marimba that I can't hear for some reason. Oh, this is the MIDI. Never mind. So we're just kind of doing. This is just a pentatonic C minor pentatonic run. Nice sweep. Okay, so and then all of a sudden she goes up higher. She like raises everything. She goes up a key. Now we're in C sharp. We're raising up like chromatically the whole entire scale. Even the bass does this. It goes up to C sharp, from C to C sharp. So we're kind of building tension by going up chromatically. When you shift everything up chromatically, it really builds tension because it builds anxiety. Because remember, that's a really dissonant interval. And not only that, but we're making this interval faster. Now we're suddenly going. We're not, and I think we're building the tempo too, right? It's like. So, where is, oh, it's in the MIDI, yeah. So the entire song is kind of getting faster, right? Okay, so it just gets faster there, right? Oh, it actually slows down there. Wait, no, that's the restart of the song. So we're not getting faster, we're just going up higher. So now we're in C sharp, right? And we've got this riff that's faster. It's basically sounding faster because it's hitting the same notes more rapidly than before. So whereas here we're kind of just playing around. Now it's like more repetitive. So repetition tends to build tension too. If you have something more repetitive, it makes it. That's why in EDM, how you'll have these rises that are like pa 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 pa. It's getting faster. That's the illusion of getting faster. So you have these arpeggios also in the marimba, and this is like, remember we're in C sharp now, so we're doing power chords in C sharp. It's basically a bunch of C's and F's, just sweeping the keyboard, and you're doing C's and F, C sharps and F sharps. But what if we change something here? Instead of we start in C sharp, but then we do C's here. We flatten the C sharps at the top. We keep this one still in C sharp. But we flatten it so it sounds like it's changing. It's going lower. Nice. So and this time it's doing tritone, so that's the most dissonant interval you can get. So now it's like building dissonance. Nice. And then the rest of them, you have this lead doing. Right, so now we're playing around with C sharp, the C sharp pentatonic scale. We're doing. It's kind of it's a pentatonic thing, right? Which is also feels kind of Spanish a little bit, because we could be still in the Phrygian scale. You don't know. Gives that feel of the desert, you know, like hot heat. And then we respond to this with like F sharp, G sharp, E, C sharp. So this is like sort of outlining a C sharp minor chord. Kind of outlining a chord here. And with that B in the bottom over there, that would be like C sharp 7, we're kind of implying. Then we're going like so we're getting like lower. We're having this like we're going to B here, having and then going to G sharp. We have this illusion of it getting lower. And then you have these arpeggios that keep on going. And then we repeat them in the then all of a sudden the harp does those arpeggios. And then we do more arpeggios. So now we're doing... I think the bass is changing here too. Yeah. The bass is like climbing up to D now. So now we're in D. We're like building more tension, raising it up even higher. And now the... So now the harp, the marimba comes in again. And it's doing perfect fourths in D. And then it also does that thing where it flattens the D down to C sharp. And so then at the same time we have the lead, that pan flute doing da 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 da. This is a very Phrygian line, right? Because we have this minor second above the root. It's also a very Middle Eastern sound because it's like... So it's technically G harmonica minor we're experimenting with there. Because G harmonic minor is... So... And we keep that as like a like sort of like we're kind of playing around in here with the minor, so it's minor. It sounds very sad. And then we start to build this doom by going to the minor second down to the root. And then we go down even one more. Down to C sharp again. And I think the bass is also doing that motion, right? It's basically walking us back down. Right? And then we're walking back down to C because I think we're preparing for the loop, right? The loop happens soon. Actually, the loop happens here. So we're kind of going back down for the loop. And let's see, what are we doing here? Here we have some harp stuff. The harp is doing F sharp, which is like a major third above the root, above D. So we're like, duh. So right here, when we're in D, it's a major third against the bass, right? But then once we go down, once the bass goes down, back to C sharp, it's a fourth, right? And I think we're in like, let's see. Yeah. Yeah. And then we go back down to C, and we start repeating this interval here. And then, so we're back down to C here, and then we do this like pitch bend again. Really low pan flute. Pan flute would never go this low. But some weird ethnic flutes can go that low. Yeah, it creates a lot of suspense. Very cool. And then we're going back to the start here. But actually, we're not really going back to the start because we have something different here, right? We have this thing in the bass. It's a really low harp note. In like C3. So it's kind of playing, like, accentuating the bass here. And I think she does that because, like, it would be a drop in energy if you would go back to, like, the beginning so soon. I think the actual loop happens here, right? Because that's when we go back to this, yeah. So the actual loop happens there, except that now you don't have this thing here. So I really don't know. It's like kind of... I think it really just repeats after that. Like after it goes back to the beginning again. So you have like a false repeat. If only DKC went hard with the story and explained the Kremling's origins. But that's really kind of the beauty of those old games, right? Is like one thing I love about those old games is like you didn't have to sit through a bunch of story. You could pick it up and play it. They weren't bothering you with so much story. It was like just get into the game. And that's kind of what I don't like about newer games is like they spend so much time on like unskippable story and it's like, I don't care about this stuff. I just want to play the game, you know? If I want a story, I'll watch a movie. And so many games are trying to be movies nowadays. It's like, man, just let me play a game, you know? I don't really want to get into it like that. But anyway, so that's kind of how that song is going. That's kind of what's happening there. Now let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll do Donkey Kong Country 2, and we'll continue on with like Hothead Bop, Mining Melancholy, Bayou Boogie, and Stickerbush Symphony. Hopefully we'll get to Stickerbush Symphony to sort of... That would be perfect since we just came out with a new mix of Stickerbush Symphony. But alright, sounds good, thank you. Alright, so you guys have a good afternoon. I'm gonna go eat something, and then we'll come back. Alright, and maybe we'll come back in about 2 hours. I'll set the stream, schedule the stream soon. I'll schedule it for like 5 or so. Yeah, we'll see. Alright, y'all, enjoy your afternoon, and this is Jam and Sam taking a break.